There we go, everybody. We have the wonderful, the one, the only, one of the most impactful mentors of life, back for round 2 on the Chiropractic Message.
Ding, ding.
The reason that I am so healthy today, and my family, Dr.
What's up?
Yeah. All right, that's it. It's the end of the podcast now.
All right, congratulations. You guys benefited from that.
Yeah.
Good luck with your life.
Yeah.
Words of wisdom.
Yeah, exactly.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm just kidding. So what do you want to talk about?
Well, Bella and I were thinking that it'd be cool for us to talk about how do we turn our bodies into superhuman bodies like yours.
Oh, Jesus.
And what's the difference between men and women having, elite athlete bodies? Like, what is it that separates
The difference.
the difference?
Well, I'd have to say that, from a sexist perspective, females, their bodies just, you can get a guy to train a certain way and a girl to train a certain way and they won't see the same results. And unfortunately, that's not to say that a woman can't benefit from training hard, but I think stress impacts females a little bit differently. I think because we have testosterone in us, I think we're able to manage stress a little bit better. And so I think the physical stressors, which is, a component of stress, we're able to handle it, and kind of clear it, like the stress hormones, I'd say more effectively than females do. Unfortunately, females hold on to more body fat, so fat stores toxins, fat stores hormones. So I think that has an impact on that. So if you focus on, I'd say I think the number one driving force to people not seeing the results at the same pace or at the same rate, even though they're training similarly, is again curbing and quelling inflammation. I think inflammation drives cortisol, and so cortisol is very beneficial for us. I just think that being able to know when we're pushing it too much and cortisol is going up too high, and knowing how to kind of taper it and tail it back. I think that's going to kind of help to see really the benefits of training very hard. And so, I remember years ago, talking to a great mentor of mine, and as we progress in age, you can't, I don't want to say my age, but, I can't train as hard as I used to. I can train hard, but I can't train every day hard all the time, right?
Yeah.
And even though I want to, but I know that I feel the effects of it. And so what he said was you can train hard, but you have to recover just as hard, right? Mm-hmm. So what does that mean for some people? It means maybe you need to get more rest. Maybe you need to have a stress-free day. Maybe you need to put all the work that you have on your desk aside and just go have a day where you're out in the sun, maybe you're going to listen to music, picnic with your wife, just go into nature, right? So that tends to bring down cortisol. So I think those are the things that we have to look at and kind of going, I want to roundabout, right? Because I didn't truly answer your question. How do we make people elite athletes? How do we make people, women and men, both, superstars and being able to have this incredible physique where they have lean muscle, low body fat? I think there's a narrow road to that. I think you have to, like Dr. Bukowski says, who's a mentor, eat right, sleep right, move right, breathe right, drink right, think right, poop right. I think you can't miss any of those, what he calls the Magnificent Seven. You really have to kind of keep all of those in mind in order to be exceptional, especially with your body, right, with your physique. I'll give you just a kind of a day in my world. I lift heavy, I don't lift light, I always lift heavy. Why do I lift heavy? It's because I want to increase my testosterone. I want to lift heavy because I want to increase growth hormone. So those things are going to be like your insurance, right? So when you stop exercising, if you crank up more testosterone with heavy, more compound exercises, or you increase more growth hormone, When you're sitting doing nothing, your body's producing those types of anabolic hormones that help you grow and recover and repair. Plus, those hormones are very beneficial for upregulating detoxification, right? And number 3 is that those hormones increase your body's ability to produce more muscle mass, especially lean muscle. And also number 4 is you're going to increase what they call the thermodynamic effects of exercise, where you're burning way more calories when you load your body up more and you're doing more compound large movements and heavier exercises, right, at rest, so that your calorie expenditure is ongoing for hours and hours and hours, right? So my son, he started working out, he's 14, right? And he said, Dad, what's the best exercises for me to do? I said, anything that involves large muscle groups. I said, that's number 1. Number 2 is while you're training, I love creatine, right? 5 grams for your muscles and then 5 grams for your brain. So I like 10 grams of creatine while I'm exercising. So I do that, and I also incorporate electrolytes.
You drinking it in your electrolyte water?
I do.
Okay.
I like to drink
during the workout.
During my workout.
Okay.
And then I do amino acids, branched chain amino acids. I do essential amino acids as well. So this way I can increase, the muscle contraction. I can feed the muscles, and so I'm not breaking my muscles down. Immediately after I work out, I told him you need to drink some whey protein. Why? Because whey protein can stimulate an insulinogenic effect, where insulin is going to drive glucose. Even though it's protein, it can stimulate insulin, and then you're going to force the body to send glucose into the muscle tissue. So that's going to be for recovery. So I like to do that as well, right? So that's really important. And then he asked me, what do I need to eat? Well, you have a 90-minute window to get in your carbs for muscle glycogen. You're going to get in your protein, right, to repair tissue. So, he's listening to me, and then you can start to see the changes in him, right? So now he's asking me more and more questions.
Yeah.
Even I've been trying to get him to do something. I think it's because he has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay. So now he wants something good and so much straight. That's all he cares about is his abs. It's like, God, what should I work on? Not your abs. Your abs are built in the kitchen, not in the set, not in the gym. So, it's kind of cool to see his changes, in the gym, and we got him a trainer, and so he just loves it, man. It's awesome. Yeah.
You'd recommend creatine for a 14-year-old?
I mean, listen, here's the deal. These kids are seeing stuff on Instagram. You got young kids wanting to get on testosterone already at their age. They want to get on peptides.
Yeah.
So if anything, it's the most researched kind of supplement out there ever. There's more research on creatine than any other supplement out there.
Yeah.
Known to man. So, I mean,
Of the ones.
they're going to do it. I'm the one.
Yeah.
I say
Okay,
it.
solid.
He's going to do
That
it,
makes
right?
sense.
No matter
He's
what.
gonna do it.
Nothing's going to stop him. So I'd rather him do it, and we can watch him do it,
Yeah.
And I mean, we use this drink. It's called the Performance Sport Drink, right? We use it. It's from Nutridyne, just to plug Nutridyne.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That has 3 grams of creatine in there already, and it has the branched chain amino acids. It has some
All right.
Cool.
green teas,
Extra.
extracts, so it gives them some energy. So I'd rather do something like that than just take something random.
Right.
But I mean, listen, red meat has the most creatine, right? So if you eat red meat, eating a steak before a workout is going to give you the most creatine, that give you the most bang for your buck. But who's going to eat a steak before they go get a steak?
Yeah, it's heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. So
Okay, so then what would be the difference between lifting heavy for men versus women?
So here's the thing. That's a fallacy. I don't believe that women are going to get big just from lifting heavy, and I think that's why they're scared to do it. I think women need to lift heavy because I think the prevalence of loss of muscle because of the hormones. I think also loss of bone density as they age because of maybe the low estrogens, in their bodies as they start to hit, menopause, premenopause, postmenopause, right? I think that if they lift heavy, there's going to be great benefit for them. So a woman's not going to get big. It's just like a man. I mean, if you lift heavy, you're not going to get big. It's all the amount of calories you're taking in, right? You can be strong. I mean, Jacob, my son's trainer, his name Ryan, he's 155 pounds, dude, and he's not a big. He lifts heavy, man. I did a little bit of working out with him today, and you're only going to get as big as your genetics are going to allow it. And if you do some outside stuff, then you'll get bigger. But females don't get big. I mean, women need to increase lean muscle I mean, me personally, if a patient came in to me and says, hey, what would you want to see let's say it's a male, what do you want to see their body fat? I'm going to say for men, it's going to be 12 to 15%. That would be ideal. And I think for women, it can be 18 to 21%. That would be ideal for women because women need fat to make hormones and to be efficient at producing hormones and also at metabolizing hormones. So, I think once women get under 18% now, you can have some problems with their menstrual cycle, things like that. There could be some depressive type of issues, because I think their brains need hormones, more so than ours. We need one hormone, really, is testosterone. I mean, we make progesterone and estrogen as well, but females need more of that hormone. So when they get leaner, the body is going to stop producing in the ovaries, and then the adrenal glands are going to kick in to take over. And I think that most people today have too high levels of cortisol for the adrenals really to take over what the ovaries are insufficient at doing, right? So that's why diet is really critical for females. Women need to eat more fats, good fats. So do men, right? But I think, women need to eat more good fats for healthy hormone production, and they're afraid to do that. Everything's low fat, low fat, low fat, and I think that's what's causing a lot of the problems today. And I think that's what you see when women tend to get older. They tend to get, sorry to say, for lack of a better word, fatter, because they have so many imbalances and they're not eating good fats and good protein. They tend to stray towards eating more carbohydrates,
right.
Which is kind of sad. Because carbohydrates kick up serotonin, right? So they're going to feel better, temporarily, and so they get that fix because they're sad. They're not happy the way they look. They're not happy the way they feel. So there's always a vicious cycle of why people do what they do, and so when they really get to understand that you can make better choices, right? And it takes 28 days to kind of create a habit. So if they're making better choices, right, then they can understand why they're choosing, let's say, a piece of bread instead of a steak, or a piece of bread instead of chicken. They're saying, hey, that's my brain messing with me and my hormones messing with me.
Yeah.
So then they can understand it. It's not really them, but that's that food noise, because their brains are so driven by hormones. All our brains are driven by hormones, right? So I think they can kind of fight that food noise and make better choices. Right. Overall. So
yeah. So I mean, obviously, discipline is like a massive aspect of having a life where you're an elite anything. But being an elite athlete, you got to be consistent, like as you're saying, balancing the strenuous workout with ultimately an equal amount of recovery and rest, and having a clean diet. What are some other areas that you focus on personally to maintain your level of fitness right now?
Well, I mean, I take naps all the time, right? My father took naps. He lived till he was almost 96, right? And so he always knew that naps were beneficial. Animals take naps, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with taking naps. It's not being lazy. It's just those little bouts of kind of recovery can go a long way, especially if you kind of get up early and have a long day like I do, right? I'll tell you a little bit about my history. Let's kind of go back from when I used to train as an elite athlete versus like what I do now. Mm-hmm. So when I was 16, I started racing bicycles, right? And then I went to Arizona State, and I had a club team. Then I made it to the club team. I started on the B team. Then I went to the A team, and then A team had a scholarship. We got there was different companies that would support us and what do you call it? Sponsor us, things like that. We were sponsored by Powerball. We were sponsored by all these different companies. It was great, and so training at 18, 19 years old is a totally different thing than training at my age, which again, I'm not going to say my age, but at 19, even though I was one of those people that ate exceptionally, I only ate organic back then. My father was a health nut, things like that. I went only to the health food store. There wasn't a Whole Foods back then or a Sprouts, so I went to the local health food store. It's called Gentle Strength. And everything was organic. I was on supplements. I went to a chiropractor that did applied kinesiology, and he put me on a great nutritional protocol. So I really followed it. But when you're racing bicycles and riding, between 60 and 120 miles a day,
Yeah.
going to school, getting up and doing it again. Man, it's brutal, right? So there's some fine line of how well you have to take care of yourself. I didn't drink then, even in college. I barely drank, and I made sure I got proper rest. But I can do it,
Yeah.
right? And then after cycling, I got into running marathons and ultra marathons. So my recovery was incredible, but I would eat so much to fuel the machine, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't have access to what people have access to now, right? I didn't have access to, the Normatex. I didn't have access to saunas. I didn't have access to hyperbaric chambers, to cold plunges. So we didn't do all that, right? We based it off of taking good supplements, getting rest, and then eating really healthy.
Yeah.
And some guys did it. Some guys could give a crap. They said, hey man, potato chips, whatever. Yeah, because they're burning it the moment they go for a ride. And these guys still competed like animals. I mean, it wasn't the diet that made it. Here I am eating better than everybody else, going to chiropractors, getting adjusted all the time. And these guys were crushing it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I do remember that I would get chronic sinus infections all the time and chronic lung stuff all the time, because when you're burning at such a high level, the amount of supplements and amount of food that you have to put in your body goes up tenfold. You know what I'm saying? So people don't, some people, you can ask them, they do a multivitamin, right? They barely do omega-3s. They don't do any vitamin D. They don't do all of the basics that they should, right? But there's one thing that I can tell you this, that aided into my career in cycling, in ultra distance running. Even I did some triathlons, things like that, and up until today was chiropractic. It had never been out of my routine. It was always part and parcel for my, performance. Yeah. It was always in there, right? I never had it without it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I truly believe that I couldn't be the athlete that I am today if I didn't take care of my spine and nervous system. Every time before a race, that whole week, I would go in every day to get adjusted, make sure that every muscle was balanced, that my posture was good. He would put me on my bicycle, and muscle test me, like muscle-wise, not just a single-arm muscle test, to see if any of these, if my arms and my back and my posture were weakening, my nervous system. Yeah. And so if there were any weaknesses, we would realign my bike, and he'd muscle test my quad, hamstrings, anything to see. Cool. Yeah, it was awesome, dude.
That's great.
Yeah, and I would go into the bike shop and have them make custom stems for me, because the stem that they had wasn't long enough to get me to keep my posture out of flexion, because flexion, would compress the flow, the lifeline to my body. So I custom, dude, we've never had 138 centimeter, whatever, it was a millimeter stem. We got a custom make.
What's the stem on the bike?
The stem is where the handlebars fit in. Yeah, and so it goes into the socket, and then so that's the handlebars. So we lengthened the stem based off of how he muscle tested me. Dude, it was amazing. I swear to you guys. Yeah. When he put that in, dude, I was crushing it. Yeah. Dude, I was crushing it. Yeah. So all that stuff made a difference. Unfortunately, he's not alive today, but if he still was alive, I'd be doing his shit anyway with everything I did, Anyway, I trained, I would be, having him do that to me.
Yeah. How did you know to have chiropractic involved in your athleticism at such a early? Was this prior to you becoming a chiropractor?
Oh yeah. I started chiropractic when I was 7, something like that.
For your parents?
Yeah, my dad. Yeah. And then I got into, when I started racing bicycle at 16, I got hit by a car growing up in New York City. Mm-hmm. And so we went to Dr. Weber, and Dr. Weber was on ABC, their prime, not their prime, it was a morning show, and he was showing how he was muscle testing people, asking them questions, and they had him, and people were going crazy. So he was actually a block away from my house growing up. His name was Dr. Jeffrey E. Weber. So I went to him, and then he helped me, recover from that car accident. So the kid that was on my bicycle, riding in Brooklyn to Prospect Park or Central Park in New York City. I forget what it was, and some guy hit me. Anyway, so then when I was going, I was going to Arizona, and then I went to him for 2 years, and then he said Dr. Deutsch was out in Arizona, then I need to reach out to Dr. Deutsch because they were colleagues, and he said that if you're going to continue your pursuit in cycling, that you need to find a chiropractor like myself. And then I went out to Arizona and then found Jerry. And Dr. Deutsch he had polio, and so he was in a wheelchair, and a chiropractor adjusted him, and he got out of the wheelchair. So he still had a limp, but he was
Doing it.
Yeah, he was doing it, man.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really awesome. Yeah, it was amazing, the stories, you know. So
Yeah.
So to get back to your question, I would say, I would say chiropractic's got to be number one, right? And I would say then eating exceptional, right? Knowing when to time that you have that window to eat carbs and protein. You know, you can do a larger carb-based meal after you train, and then, you know, let's say you're not training for a few hours, and do a more protein-centered or protein-focused meal, right? You got to recover hard. So whatever your like routine is with recovery, if it's going to be Normatec, if it's going to be light therapy, if it's going to be a cold plunge, or, you know, it's going to be chiropractic, whatever, ice, whatever it is. You got to add that into it, and then rest, man. You got to rest, because resting at night and recovering. And so my sleep is at 10:30, man. We turn off all the lights. My wife gets mad at me because she's like, "Oh, no, I'm not ready to go to sleep." I said, "You got to crank up melatonin, man. Cortisol's produced all day. You don't want to keep cortisol freaking being produced by lights. You got to trick your brain, you know." And so, you know, what happens is because we have artificial light, it's stimulating daylight all day long, so you're producing cortisol. So when is cortisol at its lowest? It should be at night, and melatonin should be at its highest. Why is melatonin important?
Sleep.
It increases growth hormone.
Okay.
So melatonin increases growth hormone. People don't understand that. So melatonin is there for you to increase growth hormone and have a nice pulse or a nice surge of growth hormone. And what does growth hormone do for us?
Just go big.
Yeah. But it also, growth hormone helps with liver detoxification. That's why God designed it to where we detoxify at nighttime between 1 and 3 o'clock. The liver is most active, right? So people can look at sleep patterns, and if they have a difficult time falling asleep, it's going to be an elevated cortisol issue. If they wake up at a certain time, 1 to 3, it's usually liver. If it's 3 to 5, it's usually adrenals, right? So you can look at that. So that's why it's good to black out, like you guys have to black out blinds. You can black it out at night. So I turn the lights off by 10:30, and I know Angie gets mad at me for that, but I'm in bed by 10:30, man.
Yeah.
And I don't look at my phone. Don't even touch my phone. Don't touch blue light. Don't do anything, man. So our room is blacked out, man. It's just pitch black. So there's no light, no nothing. So
Our goal right now is to do a 5 to 9 day, and then, you know, have our exercise in the morning, and then, you know, ideally it would be nice to at least have an hour of no screens before bed, you know.
Oh yeah, you need to get off the screens.
Yeah.
Even kids, you know, I mean, it's really bad because kids fall asleep on their phones. Kids, you know, they're staying up late and then they sleep all day. Back when I grew up, you didn't do that. But you slept all day, but you needed it, right? I mean, kids slept late. Now kids are sleeping because they're staying up so late. And then also they're exposed to blue light, and they fall asleep with their darn phones by their head, which is terrible for them. So, you know, as I was telling Jacob too, you know, if you wanna get big and strong, instead of using exogenous things to kick up growth hormone, do it naturally.
Go to sleep.
Yeah, go to sleep early. Get off your phone. Get off blue light. Stupid. I mean, you don't want to mess with Mother Nature, right? The problem is everybody goes against the grain, and they think they can outdo or outbeat what Mother Nature has in store for us. If you mess with Mother Nature, you're going to reap the consequences of messing with Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you go along with Mother Nature, then you're going to live a long, healthy life, right? So that's the important thing to understand. You know, everybody thinks there's a pill for everything.
Right.
You know, which is still outside of our bodies. You know, everything within us is what's going to help us. Cool. Did that help you guys?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun to pick your brain. We were talking about it, and we were just like, yeah, this would be a good
Topic to discuss.
Well, I think the most important thing too is if you can talk to people about like really bringing down inflammation, right? And so, again, getting back to, let's say, the evil part, everybody thinks cortisol is bad for us. I don't think cortisol is bad for us. We need cortisol to get up in the morning. We need cortisol I'd say not small amounts, but I'd say normal amounts help with inflammation. Cortisol drives in sugar into the cell. Cortisol does a lot of things, but the problem is we have overexposure to cortisol. And I don't think the body produces anything for no reason at all. I think that the driving force for, I'd say, cortisol really wreaking havoc on our bodies is it's the foods we eat, chemicals we're exposed to, the unpure water we are exposed to, the air quality, the clothing, the artificial materials that we wear, the polyesters, the microplastics, the Roundup, the heavy metals that are in the water supply. I think those are driving forces in creating inflammation, and I think that's why, too, getting back to like you guys saying, hey, I want to get the most bang for my buck, and that's basically what I'm sharing. How do I get the most bang for my buck working out? How do I get stronger? How do I get healthier? How do I get fitter? For both men and women, I would say basically managing the amount of inflammation that we expose ourselves to or that we create within our bodies.
Yeah.
Right? If you're taking a drug or a medication, right, I think that also creates inflammation. If you're taking Tylenol, ibuprofen, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories for pain, I think despite the fact that you're trying to bring down inflammation, you're also putting stress on the GI tract and also putting stress on the liver, which in turn kind of counteracts what the medication is supposed to do for you, right? And there's plenty of people that are taking that all the time.
Yeah,
right?
religiously.
I mean, people live
times a day.
Yeah, for sure. Right? Yeah, so I think it's really to kind of understand, people need to understand what is causing inflammation in their bodies, and then once they understand it, then maybe they can mitigate or limit, the exposure to it,
What would you say is the best way to understand what is causing it, like initially?
I think one thing to accept the fact that even the smallest things can create inflammation, like overtraining, not getting enough rest, right? Not taking the time to get out into nature. Certain foods, right? We do a food inflammation test in our office. And so, it's like Hippocrates said that one man's food's another man's poison. So you can be eating a food that is healthy for you, beneficial, but you don't know your body's reacting to it. And so that can lead to subtle inflammation as well, right? For example, we had a guy that had chronic shoulder issues, had it injected, had PRP put in there, did stem cells, was going to physical therapy, was going to chiropractic, was getting massages. We did a food sensitive test on him, and he was severely allergic to gluten and dairy. Once we removed those out of his diet for a good 3 to 6 months, guess what happened to the shoulder pain?
Wasn't there anymore.
It went away.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And so how does that work? Like people who are listening, how does that work? Well, think about it. If the body thinks that a food is a poison, how would it be any different if you drank arsenic? Right? It's a poison. So your body's going to try to get rid of it. If it has the right means and methods to get rid of it, it can. Right? It's going to drive up, obviously, cortisol, because you're going to be once you know that you drank a poison, your body's going to be in a fight or flight mode, right? You try to drive to the ER, or at least flush it with water. Remember in chemistry class, get something in your eye, flush it with water. So the solution to dilution is pollution, right? The solution to pollution is dilution, right? So if you're driving cortisol, let's just say chronic exposure of cortisol to tissue, muscle tissue, joints, ligaments, tendons, what does cortisol do? It degrades them, right? So you can get one cortisol injection, feel better, right? So you have anti-inflammatory results with it. Oh wow, one cortisol. But why do they limit 3 cortisol injections per year?
Why?
Because it breaks down the tissue. It erodes bone, right? So now think about it. If your body's producing excess cortisol to the same degree or the same amount that those 3 injections give you, what do you think it's going to do to a shoulder, tendon, and ligament if you're using it all the time?
I mean, it works.
How does somebody in our office, like we talked about this last time, pick up a pencil and blow their back out? How does somebody go in the dryer and pull a sock out and blow the back out? How does somebody make love to their spouse and they may or may not have made love 100 times and hurt their back?
Yeah.
How does somebody sneeze and blow out a disc? How does somebody get off a toilet and throw their back out? How does that happen?
And then their only response is, I don't know, it just happened.
Yeah, or I slept funny. That's my next line. You slept funny? Like, I sleep funny all the time. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because I sleep funny all the time. If you see me sleeping, then you poke something to see if I'm alive.
Yeah.
I sleep funny all the time, you know? I mean, how does somebody sleep funny and hurt their neck? We're not that weak, right? And I think it's just those people are so stressed in every aspect of their life, and maybe they're in denial, you know, and then, you know, you can ask the question, are you under stress? And somebody says no. I said, but have you ever been under stress, ever in your life? Oh, of course, everybody has. So here's what I tell them. I said, here, I'm gonna take a bucket, I'm gonna put it down, and if you can fill that bucket up with stress, I'll give you $1 million.
Yeah.
True story, how are you gonna do it?
Yeah.
Can you fill up, here, fill up my bowl with watermelon. Here's watermelon, I'm gonna eat some, okay?
Yeah.
But fill it up with stress.
Yeah.
You can't do it. So again, we can't get away from it, but you have to have a way to mitigate it and dissipate it. And we talked about that. So if you're eating bad foods, are you increasing stress, yes or no?
Yes.
If you're not drinking water and you're dehydrated, is that stress?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not sleeping let's say 8 to 10 hours, let's say 8 hours, right? Is that stress?
Yeah.
Let's say you're laying on polyester sheets,
Right.
not cotton sheets, or bamboo sheets. What are you breathing in all day when your head's laying on a pillow? Microplastics.
Yeah.
Let's say you're walking around in Crocs with no socks on, and your feet are sweaty.
Yeah.
What do you think you're pulling into the most vascular area of your body?
That's so true, actually. I never thought about that.
Microplastics. What if on your nads, females are a little bit better because they don't have nads, so that's why there's a company called Nads, right? That makes 100% cotton and underwear. But you're wearing those types of underwear that are going directly into your testicles, which are suppressing your testosterone production, right? Or women wearing bras. Is that not a stressor?
Right.
What if you're using toxic toothpaste?
Right.
Toxic shampoos? Toxic lotions? Chemicals. Cleaning supplies.
Yeah.
That's not a stressor, but people don't get that can contribute. So it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. If your body can only handle so much, now everybody becomes the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
Right? That just one little thing will kill the canary.
Right.
Right? What does that saying mean? What does a canary in the coal mine mean? The canary is really small. So if there's a leak in the coal mine, right? We're larger species, so what we are bioconcentrators. We can concentrate toxins. Our bodies are built to hold on to toxins, but a little canary who has no fat on it cannot concentrate toxins. So the canary goes in, and let's say the canary doesn't come out, what happens?
Then they don't go in.
They don't go in. They know there's something wrong. That's the canary in the coal mine. However, we are all canaries in coal mines. Here's another thing I reference. Let me ask you a question. If two people went into the hospital, one is a heart attack about to happen, somebody, let's say not a heart attack, let's just say somebody's complaining of chest pain.
Right.
And then you have another person that's a burn victim. Okay. Who do you think they're going to take in first?
They burn victim.
Why?
Well, because they got, everything's all exposed, they can get infection and die quicker.
Number one, that's the most important. You got to triage them for infection.
Yeah.
Number two, they're going to go into what?
Shock.
Shock. That's number two. So more likely, somebody who came in chest pain, it could be reflux, it could be tightness in the chest, it could be stress, it could be anxiety, it could be anything. It could be a heart attack, but they're going to triage the burn victim first, okay? Do you know, and I don't know if they do this here in the States, but I know this, that once they get the burn victim under control, do you know what they feed the burn victim? I think it's between 18, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think, let's just say on average, about 20 to 25 egg yolks a day. Why?
Because of the albumin?
The cholesterol helps the membranes heal so that their skins can heal faster. Is that crazy? What did they tell us to stay away from?
Cholesterol.
There you go.
Cholesterol.
Yeah.
I'm just listening because she's cuter than him. Here's the deal. So every patient in my office, truth be told, because they're so depleted, they're so stressed, it would be fair enough for me to compare them to the health status of a bone weight. They don't have the proper nutrients in their bodies. They're not getting enough cholesterol in their bodies. That's why their body's overproducing it. That a lot of the organs that help to metabolize cholesterol are overworking because they need cholesterol, like the thyroid, like the liver, like the gallbladder. So these patients are so depleted and deficient, and then we do blood work on them, and it truly reflects that. And then also we look at their spines, right? And we look at the spine, which is a reflection of their aging process, just like their teeth are, right? Because the teeth and the spine are from the same ectodermal tissue. They are derived from the same embryonic tissue. They're identical. So if the teeth are aging and decaying at a fast rate, what do you think is happening to the spine?
The same thing.
So the spine is a reflection. So somebody, like your disc should last you 82 and a half years. And when you look at these people at young ages, they already have signs of degeneration in their discs.
And
why?
Sub-18?
100%. Why? Because the gums are the first place that the body steals from when it's deficient, and so are the discs, the tendons, and the ligaments that support the spine.
Because of the nutrients that are in them?
Correct. And they're not important for survival.
Okay.
So the body will rob Peter to pay Paul.
So when someone is using tobacco or heroin or something that causes gum damage or mouth disease or things like that, it's also affecting the integrity of their spine.
Well, I would say that it's affecting the amount of nutrients that they have, and then so those people who are doing that will need 2 or 3 or 10 times the amount of nutrients in order to counteract the negative effects of the drug. So where's it going to take it from? That's why you see crystal meth users, their teeth are a mess. Right? Same thing.
On top of the acidity. And
Of course.
It'd be like, like you were saying, you didn't know, but you were washing your mouth out with vinegar because you're trying to clean it, and then your teeth started to change for a second.
Well, that's the same thing with like kombucha and all that stuff. It will erode the enamel in your teeth. People think it's good for your gut, but it's acidic. So it tends to erode the enamel on their teeth. You know what I'm saying? So, damned if we do, damned if we don't kind of thing. So, if you're going to do any of that, I think kombucha is great. Small doses, not a lot, because you can create, too much of an imbalance with,
too much of the bacteria that they put in the kombucha.
And so what happens is the small intestine doesn't like too much bacteria. So then what happens is the large intestine can only handle a certain amount of beneficial bacteria. And then when it's kind of reached its saturation point, it pushes the bacteria up into the small intestine. So the small intestine doesn't like the bacterial overgrowth, and what is that called? Small intestine bacterial overgrowth. It's called SIBO, right? So that's SIBO. So that's, so when you're doing something in excess where we're not supposed to, right? Then the body can cause problems as well. You know what I'm saying? Doing too much of a good thing is not necessarily a good thing, right? It can be a bad thing. So, so that's a whole nother, you have beneficial bacteria in your nose, you got beneficial bacteria in your throat, beneficial bacteria everywhere. Those bacteria are supposed to protect us. But here's another thing, getting back to stress and cortisol. Cortisol can destroy the lining of tissue that those beneficial bacteria, embed themselves in, so then it weakens the tissue and the bacteria can't embed in there, so they can't even protect you. So, that's how stress affects us. So getting back again, saying this again, how does it affect performance? Again, how to become the best version of yourself. There's a fine line in doing that, right? And I get it, man. People make all these excuses, and people, like you said, discipline. Is it discipline? I think discipline is part of it. I think it's surrounding yourself with the right people. And I think another thing is, and even if you can't surround yourself with the right people, because I think that there's those 1%, 2%, and they're very hard to find. I think you really truly have to love yourself enough to be able to do it. So I think that's where it comes down to, right? Whether it's discipline or not, right? Making the right choices is all dependent on how much you love yourself.
Yeah.
And so if you love yourself by doing things hard throughout the day and accomplishing things and patting yourself on the back that you got it done, then I think those are ways to kind of develop more love for yourself.
Yeah.
And so you'll make better choices. Would you agree with that?
Totally. I think whenever when Dalton uses the word discipline, I feel like I always like mentally reframe it to like self-devotion. Like it's like it makes it so it's not something that you have to be hard and push yourself to go execute these things. It's just the natural thing that you want to do because it's the natural thing that you want to do because you're devoted to every aspect. So it's not like this cortisol heavy like experience.
I get it.
Typing. It's
Grit.
just like
You
Yeah.
gotta push. No, I get it.
you know.
I mean, so like, when you think about laziness and discipline's like uglier, it's like, I gotta be lazy, It's easier. It flows better. Laziness, discipline. It's like you gotta get into that mindset, put your hat on. You got like your sword. No, it doesn't have to be like that. Like, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that it is like self-devotion and just knowing how something makes you feel by doing it, even if you didn't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
But there are times that, listen, man, I always say this, a drug addict takes a freaking crapload of discipline. He's got to get his next fix. He's willing to do anything. He might go rob people.
Exactly.
He might go rob a bank. That's pretty disciplined. I don't think I could rob a bank.
Commitment.
He's got to drive somewhere. He's got to steal a car. He's got to do a ton of shit to get that next fix. That's discipline, right? So I think that it all depends on what's important to you. But I think sometimes, true, and getting back to that word, if you can use it tongue in cheek, to do nothing takes discipline too.
Totally.
Yeah.
To completely do nothing and be in the moment and just be at peace with doing nothing, that takes a lot too.
I mean, it's a radical amount of discipline.
Oh yeah, I can't sit still, man.
And I was just gonna say,
I can't sit still,
it's
man.
been cool to be with you, the past maybe 5 years, I guess, we've been together. And just, both of us have had an equally great cycle of life. Where when we started to first work with you, you were feeling like you were ready for the next step of your life. And then we came in there and we were just like, teach us everything you know. Don't quit. We need you. We're like, we need you. Don't quit. We need to learn what you got. Please. And then we were able, like you said earlier, having a group of people around you is so significant because we had the whole practice. Me, Dr. B, Piari, Teva, you, like everybody was just dialed. And everybody started making incredible choices. We were out like basically
holding each other accountable.
Meat, tomatoes, cucumbers, and squash, and that was it.
Right.
Remember, we weren't even eating rice at that time too. It's literally just like
I like to be big, so I know. Regenerative rice, organic.
I guess I had a question about that. We were talking about male and female. I know you're a huge advocate for animal-based. Like, would you recommend something different for a man versus female when it comes to that sort of diet?
I honestly think that women need more fats than men do. So adding in all the animal fats and getting rid of the seed oils is going to be more beneficial. Remember, think about the backbone of all hormones is cholesterol. That's it. Adrenal. If you're under stress, the backbone of all the stress hormones are cholesterol as well. So sex hormones need cholesterol and stress hormones need cholesterol. So at the end of the day, if both of those that make us complete require cholesterol, what should we not stop eating? Cholesterol. And then they tell you to get off cholesterol. It's asinine, man. It's just it's completely a myth. It's a fallacy. It's not true at all.
Yeah.
But getting back to what you guys said, yes, you got to surround yourself by doing that. And then once you do that and you see what it brings to you and the value, it opens up channels in the universe to bring those types of people to you.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. We've had people come to our office for the front desk position, and they wouldn't last for 2 hours because they just weren't aligning with us. And now we found this one girl who's awesome, and both her parents are bodybuilders. It's crazy, right? Yeah. So it's wild that she kind of lives it too. So once you get clear with who you are and your belief systems, and the universe will, aspire to bring that to you and towards you. So it's the same thing with hanging out with the right people, and then doors open up and close at the same time. So that's important to understand that. But yes, you said something about how you guys came in. we took it to the next level, and then everybody was holding each other accountable, and then so we were working out, we were watching each other change, so that's really important. You have to have it has to be a community, you know what I'm saying? Because there has to be accountability, because it is hard doing it by yourself. And then what happens is if somebody kind of falls short, then they get hard on themselves, and then we have a tendency to kind of totally shut down, and then everything that you're trying to accomplish gets null and void because you feel like you failed. And who here by show of hands ever wants to fail? None of us. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to fail. I mean, I didn't come in here to like say, hey, I'm going to do the shittiest podcast ever. You don't live to do that. I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever, right? So yeah, man. I mean, that's. I wanted to say something and I forgot where it was going. But
well, back in these times, maybe I'll have you jog your memory. It was just funny because we all were like ravenous. There was just because we weren't really eating any carbs. We weren't eating rice for a point. It was literally just meat and fruit. Yeah, and so the office started to smell like meat because we literally would bring crock pots with 5 pounds of meat for the whole day.
You made that
crazy. Oh yeah, I made heart and liver,
kidney too.
Yeah. It was intense, right?
Yeah, it was awesome.
But it was funny. I mean, like for sure. Everybody was like, give me hard-boiled eggs, give me a meat stick. Everybody, when we found the pork rinds, that was like the godsend. It was nothing fun. So we had the pork rinds.
That's all we ate.
Yes, we found
pork
rinds.
We all smelled like pork rinds. Dude, it was wild.
Go through like 3 bags of pork rinds a day.
If you told me to eat pork rinds 10 years ago, I'd be like, what the heck's wrong with you eating pork rinds?
Yeah.
You're just licking the inside of it.
Putting it inside out.
Actually, it's funny. So getting back to like we were talking about, so like Dalton came, PR came, Teva came. So we were intense, man. Like, man, it was like 8 in the morning. We'd be there. Then we'd go do the whole day like this, and we would have team huddles, and then we would like create our boundaries and our core values, and we'd go train jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Right.
So like. And then we would stand
and come to my house and and hit, rinse, repeat, and the next day, right? Wash, rinse, repeat. But I'll tell you a story. So the other day, and I hate to say this, so my house, I got 2 young kids, right? My daughter, my son. My daughter's 20, my son's 14, and you come home and you got 3 dogs, and dude, the house can't stay clean, right? We have to clean it before the cleaners come, and then we clean it after. I mean, just dude, it's nuts, Laundry piles up. It's like Mount Everest in my laundry room. The kids pull laundry out, it's on the floor, they don't put it back in, the trash fills up, they're pushing it down a little bit more so they can get more trash. I mean, so it's just chronic stress all the time. Yeah. Now, you can let it affect you like I do because I have OCD, or sometimes you just succumb and say, you know what, I don't even care, right? Yeah. There's shit all over the place, you just don't care. But I told Angie the other day, like I just lost it. I just came home, and I just got done training judo, and it was intense because they're all going to the Junior Olympics. And I came home and I said, when the most peace I've had in the past couple of years? She goes, what, like vacation? I said, no, when I was in the fucking hospital. Seriously, I fucking did nothing. I sat there, and my vitals were great. I almost died, right? You were there, right? I had my IV. They left me alone because my vitals are perfect. Jacob bought his Xbox. I played Xbox. I watched movies. People waited on your hand and foot. I laid there, did nothing for 6 days other than walk around. Yeah. Dude, it was awesome. I don't wish that to happen again. But because, you know what I'm saying? Like I was by myself, didn't have any room to clean up. All you had to do, and I'll make my point in just a second, is focus your energy on surviving, right? Yeah. And that's why some people, they maintain this identity with being chronically ill, right? Because they don't have to do anything. Right. All they have to do is focus on themselves. So it becomes, I think that...
Addictive?
Yeah, it becomes selfish, sadly, right? We become selfish and self-centered when we're sick, because all we focus on is ourselves, right? And I'm not saying this because there are people who are sick and they have, but I'm just saying that there are some people out there. I remember her, seeing a lady that got hurt, and she came into my office, and we knew she was getting better because she would say she's doing great, and she went from having a cane and a walker to walking out of the office. And so one day I see her, she was at Ingalls, and I forget her name, and I'm in there and I see her walking again with her walker. And I'm like, you just left my office like an hour or 2 ago, right? We adjusted her, and you were all walking out. So I pulled her aside, and she was with her husband, and I said, let's just call her Mary for,
Okay.
for just, because we don't know, I forget her. And she says, don't tell my husband, this is the first time in 40 years that we've been married that he's doing the laundry, he's cooking for me, he's taking the trash out, he's doing everything, he's rubbing my shoulders. If he knows I'm getting better, it's gonna stop, it's all gonna come to an end, and it's gonna be all on me, right?
That's funny.
And that's what happens sometimes, right? They don't even know they're doing it. I mean, it could be a subconscious thing, it could be a conscious thing.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on in people's worlds? That they just, they relish in that type of like identity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I get it. And I take it out of universe because I don't want to go to the hospital again, trust me. But I'm just saying that it was the most peace I've had.
Yeah.
Once I got done with the surgery, it was like all I had to do was recover and get out of there. Right? There was 4 criteria. Pee. Don't get an infection was number 1.
Right.
Second one is peeing. Third one is farting, and fourth one is pooping.
Yeah.
That was it, dude. The 4 basic. What would you say? What's the word I'm looking for?
Like how to get out of there?
No, the 4. It's the basic of life. The pillars of life. The pillars of life. You're doing it, and that's why I had to get the hell out. Could you imagine this every day? All I gotta do this morning is not get an infection. Okay.
Yeah.
All I gotta do is not pee. Fart, and that's and poop, and that's it. And that's life, and then you go to sleep, right? I mean, how cool would that be, right? So.
You said you never sit still. So how much of that do you think that peace that you felt at the hospital is from like the literal circumstance of you are not allowed to move?
He moved.
I did move.
He did like don't move, and he's like, watch this, fucking 80 laps around the fucking
Too much. The surgeon said, "Don't slow down that Forrest Gump." I mean, literally, that's what he said. He said, "Forrest, sit the fuck down." He said, "I'm forbidding you from fucking walking." That's what he said.
Yeah.
He said normal because I was doing like he told me to do like 2 laps and I was doing like 25. I said hi everybody.
I do.
I would just go.
But you gotta understand, relative to all the exercises that you were doing, it was like you stopped. I mean, walking around 25 times relative to what was happening before. So, I mean, you're right. But it is funny just because he was 10xing the freaking what the requirements are.
I do believe that injuries are for a reason. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's nothing random. And so you get sick, you get a fever, you get a cold, it's to slow you down. You get an injury, it's to slow you down. I don't think you should totally slow down an injury. I think people heal better. Even when you're sick sometimes just moving a little bit will help increase your immune system. But I think everything happens for a reason. The body can only handle so much. And then when you surpass what the body can handle, then there's some things that are going to happen, So that's it. I think every symptom is just, or a signal is just a sign that we're just doing too much. Mm-hmm. So something is out of sequence or alignment, you know what I'm saying? So I believe that,
So we've been working on to continue this conversation about how to create a group of people who are like-minded, because you've run so many teams and you've been running your practice for 25 years and you guys have an incredible foundation. So, how do you take leadership that you exhibit in your practice and bring it home within your family?
I think, first of all, you have to show by example. You have to live it principally, right? And I think that you have to be congruent in everything that you do. And, it's what we say in the office is the level of your life will only rise to the first level of your incongruency, right? That's what I believe in. So, you whatever you do, I think the way I run my household typically, again, now the kids are getting older, so it's harder, but I voice what I feel and I try to express to the team in the family, so my family's a team as well, the importance of contribution, because contribution is a very important human need to do, because when you contribute, you feel like you're part of something, so then you create an identity through contribution, right? And then you're giving back. So I try to explain to my kids, if the trash isn't taken out and I have to take it out, for example, or that room is a mess, what does that show? right? The word cleanliness is close to godliness. I'm like, you're not representing, And if they don't do it, then I yell at them. So then I got to be a little militant, right? It's the same thing in the office. The difference is you can't fire your kids, you can't fire your wife. Well, you can, but it might not end up too well. But in the office, you just fire them, right? I mean, it's the same way. So there are certain things in the office, there are rules, there are standards, there are systems, and it's the same thing in the house. When the kids aren't following the system, I mean, unfortunately, my problem is that, I tend to do things when they're not getting done because I feel like I can do it better myself. But that will burn you out fast too. So I try to emphasize that to my kids, and my kids get it. My kids understand that. Jacob's really good about it. Bella kind of gives me a little bit of kickback on it or pushback, but she gets it, and they really help out. So I'd say the same principles that I have in my office, I follow it in my household. And I think that's important to align in both ways. And the way we eat, my kids eat the same way. It doesn't change. My kids get adjusted all the time. My kids exercise all the time. My wife eats well. My wife exercises all the time. So you got to be on the same page. And it's the same thing with staff, I mean, there are certain things that there are requirements. Like every person in our office that comes in as a new staff member, they're going to get a workup done, blood work, and they're also going to get x-rays. And then they're going to go through a program because they need to benefit and be healthy too, because they have to be on their A game when they're working in my office, right? You can't have any B players, working with you because that's not aligning with you too. So,
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
You?
Well, I think that going through your programs and figuring out like what's great to eat, what's not great to eat. Bella's going through it. We just did. We're waiting on the results for the food sensitivity test. But what happens when somebody is following an incredible diet and they're just not seeing the same results? Like clinically, what do you see when? You may not see this because you have a process. You're like, hey, we're figuring out what's going on. And then you solve that problem first. But like, what's the first step in understanding? Like somebody's like, wow, you know what? I feel like I'm eating super clean. I don't eat carbs. I'm not drinking. I'm not eating sugar. But I'm still having these challenges. Like what may be some of the primary causes of that?
I would say it could be like a subclinical infection, some type of bacterial issue, viral issue, some type of immune issue, like an autoimmune condition that's driving up cortisol and inflammation. That would be number one thing to look at. I'd say number two would be blood glucose handling problems, like how efficient are you at managing, like people forget this, like let me just start here. So let's say you eat a ton of protein, okay? Mm-hmm. Let's say all you do is eat steak, and steak. If your body has surpassed its ability, like the amount that it can like manage throughout the day, the protein is going to get converted into sugar.
Yeah.
So that's called gluconeogenesis. It's production of sugar from basically non-carbohydrate sources. So if you're eating too much protein and you've reached your max for the day, then your body's going to convert that. So what happens is your body's going to take that fuel. If you're not using it, it's going to put it to the liver, and the body's going to store it as glycogen. Glycogen, everybody has a different capacity to store glycogen. If you're an endurance athlete, you're going to have more glycogen storage. If you're not an endurance athlete, you can have less. So now when you've reached and you capped out on glycogen, right, which is stored forms of sugar, of glucose, then your body's going to convert it to fat. Right? Then your body's going to convert it to fat. So that's sometimes a problem for people that are eating clean and they're doing, let's say, a ketogenic diet and not losing weight, and then so that can be part of that kind of biochemical glitch that they may have, right? And so then the second driver, again, that's glucose, right? Blood sugar handling, and it could be insulin as well, because you can have subtle elevations or even long-term elevations of insulin, which they don't test for in regular labs, before glucose starts to show. So you can, let's just say normal levels of insulin, let's say 4 to 7 in the blood panel. You can have an insulin level of 15, 18, or 20 before glucose starts to go up. So you can already be insulin resistant before you're showing pre-diabetes or diabetic symptoms or characteristics. So that's why sometimes the labs that they run in a regular doctor's office aren't really going to be enough to show you what's going on. So if insulin is being produced, insulin and cortisol go up, and then so what's going to happen? The body's going to store glucose into fat again.
Yeah.
And then insulin breaks down muscle long term. It's catabolic long term. Short term, it's anabolic. But long term, catabolic circumstances is going to break down lean muscle mass. And then you'll start to see other markers go up in the blood. And then if you have breakdown of lean muscle mass, then what's going to happen when you go to the gym? You can't build it. Yeah. And so instead, your body's going to support fat production rather than muscle production.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So people become insulin resistant way before they even know it. And so that's part of it. And so despite the fact that you're eating healthy, you know, it's not going to bring down insulin. The only thing that's going to bring down insulin is intense exercise.
Right.
Intense exercise, you make the receptors more sensitive to insulin. But, you know, unfortunately, with all the GLP-1s, the tirzepatides, the semaglutides, all that, that stuff helps the body with it. But it's, you know, I mean, again, I'd say it's
just like a Band-Aid.
It's a Band-Aid. Yeah, it's a Band-Aid. You know?
Well, now you see, I mean, it's crazy some of these, you know, people that you see who have excessively used these GLP-1s where they're just like, I mean, they look like a cancer patient. I mean, you can see the rib striations connected to their sternum. It's like, you know, their cheeks are hollow, like they're addicts. You know, I mean,
yeah, well, they lose a lot of muscle. That's the same thing. They're losing a lot of muscle, you know.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, again, with any peptide, there's an appropriate way to use them. And I think peptides a lot of times are, you know, peptides are sequence of amino acids are huge now, right? It's everywhere on Instagram and TikTok and all this stuff. But I think to know how to use peptides correctly, that's going to be the golden ticket, right? So, but the GLP-1s, I think the class of people that are using GLP-1s are those that don't exercise anyway and don't eat really healthy. No offense, right, to anybody. And so what I think is if you're going to use a GLP-1, you got to exercise.
Yeah.
And you got to eat better. You know what I'm saying? So you got to keep that lean muscle mass on. Or you got to stack it with another peptide that increases lean muscle along with decreasing the body fat and improving cellular function to be more efficient at using glucose and insulin and things like that. So, and that's why you see them, they look cachexic, and they look like they have a lot of muscle waste, and they look older, man. They don't
It's like, so you lost the weight, but now you look like, yeah, exactly. It's like, so you add 10 years, but you lost the weight. I understand that one. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I get it.
You know, there's a joy. The cool thing about you that I appreciate and admire is that you find so much joy in just being healthy. Like Bella was talking about this last night, we were talking about it, like having this routine where you mentioned it earlier today, just like going, well, I wouldn't want to do anything else. Why would I not want to wake up early? Why would I not want to go to sleep, you know, at a reasonable time? Why would I not want to eat healthy? Like, why wouldn't I want to exercise? Like, why wouldn't I want to be part of a community of people who are all thinking along the same lines, you know? It's like, it's very cool that, and for you too, there've been many times in your life where you had that drive seemingly by yourself, you know, like, you know, you've told us a couple of stories where you're just dialed in. You value yourself and your health, and, you know, from, you know, the experience with your mother and your father, you know, you were set up to think in this way, you know, or you chose to, you know.
Yeah,
chose to.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I came from, everybody was from Israel, everybody was military, I didn't get to serve, and so I felt like to some degree I was no offense, lack of a better word, a pussy because I didn't. So I had to find, I guess,
like an
equivalent of being tough and strong and kind of, you know, one of those like almost militant in everything that I did to show them that if I did go to the military, that I would have been that.
Yeah.
So that's why I did everything hard, you know. So I mean, I have so many things I can talk about what I did do, you know, and I would ride my bicycle in my house on these rollers, or called Alcrata rollers, and you would balance your bike on it, and I would do it for 2 or 3 hours.
Wow.
Stationary, not moving anywhere. That's the definition of psychoses.
Yeah,
It's like insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again. Expecting it. I would literally ride on these rolling wheels for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
And you have to balance on them. Wow.
And my mother was like, "Don't you get bored?" And I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah.
But man, it was crazy, you know.
Yeah.
So the stuff that I did was just you would think I'd be nuts if someone psychoanalyzed me. They'd definitely put me in a category as absolutely nuts, you know. But I would do crazy things, man. You know, I mean, I'd run in the dead of winter, it'd be snowing, I'd be running miles. You know what I'm saying? Like 20, 30 miles. You know, I just did it because it was part of my routine, but still to say I did it, you know. And to be honest with you, I hate to say this, but it's the same thing, you know, living that kind of life and doing the way that I live, unfortunately, it's lonely. You know what I'm saying? You feel very isolated. You don't feel like anybody understands you. And that's the hardest part. I mean, even your own family, like you don't feel like anybody ever understands you, right? Like going to chiropractic, you know, being a chiropractor and getting chiropractic treatment, not being on any medications, you know, working out every day, eating healthy, making good choices. Or they're just choices that they're part of me every day. So I don't eat bad chocolate, like I don't eat sugar, I don't eat processed foods. I was eating massage chips on my way here just to get carbs, and I was feeling guilty. I was asking ChatGPT, "Is it okay to eat massage chips after a workout?" You know? He's like, "For a BJJ judo guy like you, yeah, for sure, good carbs." You know, I'm like, I'm feeling guilty. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like for me, like eating massage chips is my guilt.
Yeah.
Somebody else's, you know, what would it be? I don't know.
Normal.
Yeah, it's normal, right? You know,
They're too expensive.
I guess the other chips. But I'm like, I got problems. I'm not gonna lie, and I think the people with the most problems kind of like are hardest on themselves. But you know, so it's lonely, man. It's lonely to be successful. It's lonely to be a chiropractor. It's lonely to do things that are different than the norm. And again, it's the 1%ers, so you feel like you're in this world all by yourself. So it's kind of nice to be around like-minded people, and it's, you know, and then 2 people alike are 11 times stronger and 11x stronger, right, and better than you doing it by yourself. So that's why it's so important to have the support and a community that think like you. But I'll tell you, man, I mean, there's only a few people that are like that. Even mentors of us that we have, right? They don't even live it. You know what I'm saying? Like people that we respect and honor, then you get to, that's why I like to get to know people, because when you start to get to know people and see them all that, you see, you have this picture in your head that you build, and then it's like, oh my God, he's doing that? Like, and it's a complete disappointment.
Yeah, right. Well, like the cardiologist, that story you're telling.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, he was down eating burgers and getting a big gulp. And I said, I don't want to say his name, but I was like, what the heck are you doing? He's like, oh, there's statins for that, there's blood pressure medications for that. I'm like,
yeah, you got the number, you're a surgeon to help with the leading death disease in the world. Yeah, you're like, I'll just take some medication.
Do statin.
Yeah.
And those medications don't work. The only medication that works is an antibiotic. Yeah, right? You get an infection 7 days later, it's gone if you take the right antibiotic. If medications worked in the same category as an antibiotic, then in 7 days you would be having normal cholesterol. You would have normal blood sugar. You would have normal blood pressure. It'd be great if it worked like that, but it doesn't. Sadly, right? And so then it's work on us, and I think that's where it comes down to. You know, people just are, unfortunately, I don't think people are lazy. I think people just, they put their energy where they feel they're going to get the most benefit from it. So people work hard. They make money. They're going to push themselves. But then they don't have the same work ethics when it comes down to exercise or eating, right? Then you see people who are very successful and they're out at happy hour drinking. But they're putting the same amount of energy into something that could be constructive into something that's destructive.
Right.
So at least they're consistent. You know, they're consistent, you know, and you can give them credit for that. But it takes a lot for somebody to drink, you know, 8 8 bourbons or 8 whiskey sours. I mean, I couldn't do it. I could barely do one.
I know.
And you're sitting down drinking 8 of them. Good for you, man. Way to go, champ.
Right.
I mean, seriously, it does, right? I mean, shit, I couldn't do that. Right? You know, I mean, it takes a lot for somebody to eat a whole bag of Cheetos and a whole thing of Pringles. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a champ.
Yeah. We had we're going through finals right now, and I came home and made this really beautiful salmon dish, and I was like, fuck, we're doing linguine, because we have this durum wheat linguine with a wild caught salmon, and I was like, I'm gonna make a white wine sauce. So we did that, and then we had like a glass of wine with it, and destroyed all of our sleep. Like we track our sleep with the Whoop, and I had like a 24 sleep, even though I slept 9 hours. How does that happen? What I mean? Like, damn.
Well, that's why in Italy, right? We're going next month. Actually, that's in Italy. They eat like 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and they don't go to bed till like 4 or 5.
Yeah, they're
up a long time because they know that they got to digest that food.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, man, it's not what you do once a week; it's what you do every day of the week, right? So to do something like that and just to enjoy it. I mean, there are benefits to I think that if let's say you eat healthy 6 days, I think for whatever reason, having 1 day of a cheat, it kind of creates a reset.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it shocks your body. It you know what I'm saying? Like your body kind of works better.
Well, ironically, the next day I had a 90% recovery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's that, and then I think like the benefit to like the social aspect of eating, like having a meal with your family, even if it's not something that you eat every day, like having that connection that time is immeasurable to what it does actually for you.
Yeah,
I agree. I think there are. I mean, and every culture does that. I mean, and think about it. Like in Italy and different cultures, they eat a lot of carbs. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's just how they set the tone and the mood for digestion.
Well, it's a totally different way of life out there. I mean, they're walking and hanging out. I mean, it's the most community. I mean, I haven't been everywhere in the world, so let's just start there. But it's the most community that I've experienced, and you see it everywhere. It's not just like, this one little town. It's like the whole country is out walking and hanging out, drinking wine every day. It's like work is like a secondary part of life. They don't even give a shit about it. They're just like, a couple hours, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, the people work the hardest are in the nightclubs because they're open so long.
Yeah.
Like that's probably the people who work the longest.
They don't have a lot of disease out there, right? They smoke ciigars and they drink alcohol. So it goes to say that, I mean, it's also like your mindset, and the amount of stress you have.
And they cheat on each other all the time too. No offense, but it's out there.
They're sexually active.
Yeah, they're sexually active for a while with many partners.
Well, there you go. So that's really what this podcast is about.
Exactly.
That would cause a lot of stress in my life.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's awesome.
Funny. Yeah, it's funny. That's funny. Nice.
So let me ask you guys this question. So, Dalton, you're in school, right? So I'll be a little bit of an interviewer. So what are you learning in school that you can kind of share with everybody, that now maybe, that you can apply in your daily routine or daily living or your daily activities? What are you finding that school is doing for you?
Well, the answer to this question doesn't have anything directly to do with the information I'm learning, I would say. I think that really what is happening for me is that I have a lot. So it's not just chiropractic school. I'm running a business. I'm in business school, and plus a couple other extra things. So it's forcing me to really pay attention. And I'm learning to narrow my focus and like really block out time for what's in front of me. And I've really had to stop engaging in all these little tasks that are left half open. And so I've had to say no to a lot of people, even within my family. I've stopped hanging out with certain people. I'm choosing people who are just dialed in because I recognize every aspect of my life. If there's 20 minutes that is with somebody who's, creates an internal conflict within myself, like I'm just thinking about their situation, but it's time for me to study, like I need that 30 minutes, I believe that now, I mean, like I was able to learn 400 words, 4 weeks of school in 24 hours, you know, before my test. And I scored decent, 88%, you know, I mean, so, and then the next day I learned a couple hundred words, and my alarm didn't go off. I had 40 minutes, and Bella drove me to school, and I got an 85 on that test. So I mean, it's like what I'm learning is how to hyper focus, and also just understanding how many of these little like nags that I allowed in my life and how distracting it is. And since I've been able to clear those out, I mean, our relationship has gotten so much better. We're able to focus on each other, and you know, we pray in the morning, we pray at night together. I mean, we were running this morning and affirming like what our business is to ensure that our team falls in line, because you know, there's this aspect that we have a team of people that we're working with, and we have a really high standard for ourselves, but I take responsibility for not expressing the same amount of like ability to just take a task and do it. And I haven't created that standard in the team, but now we're running with these affirmations of like our team comes with us to new ideas without us having to ask. Like, we're not managing a team, we're just like, we're inspiring them because of how much we're doing, and they see that, and then they're just showing up, like creating things. Like it's something. And I learned a lot of this from you, you know, like you just do so much. So then as me being on your team, I'm like, fuck, I gotta do way more. Like I'm letting go of the excuses. And the funny part is people on the team now are saying to me, like, I don't wanna make excuses, because they're comparing their life to mine, and everybody's busy. So I told my team this, like, we're all busy. A billionaire and a homeless man have the same amount of hours in a day. And not that it's about money, but a billionaire is not a billionaire without accomplishing fucking 8 million things, you know? And so it's like, I feel like, oh, that's my train of thought there. There's just so many things to do in one day, and the way that you get them done is focusing on it one at a time. That's what I'm learning. And I'm able to accomplish so much more because I don't allow myself to have a maybe task. I'm either 100% in this task or I'm not. And then I'm having to accomplish things like right now. So I've booked like 10 podcasts in the past 2 days because I'm like, all right, take your phone out, let's book it right now. You know, and just to handle shit like right now, I'm able to have more time in my day. Like this morning, we had a super casual morning. I want that time too.
Yeah, of course.
You know, like we went on a run casually, we hung out by the pool, we made some breakfast, you know.
And then you get work done. I mean, that's, like you said, that's what they do in other countries. Here it's like from the moment you get up, it's balls to the wall.
Right.
So it's funny you say that, because yesterday we had a kind of a team building. We did a photo shoot. So Angie hired this marketing girl. She's awesome, right? And so she's doing all this stuff for her and her business, and then she did a photo shoot, and we really wanted to like team build. And everybody showed up in, you know, in scrubs. We had, you know, everybody's dressed. Dude, we have a really sexy freaking team. It's crazy. Like, I didn't realize how beautiful everybody was. And we had this fun, you know, we were all serious in the beginning, and then we started goofing around and we started being silly, and it brought us all together. But me and Angie being together, like we were the center of focus and attention. Everybody was around us, and you can see it when. This is what we built. Like, we built this team. We've created this. Like, we are the epicenter of this, so people can change their lives and benefit from it. So you yourself have to be a true a magnet, right? You got to be a magnet to bring it to you, like you said, and then also knowing that the other side of the magnet will repel things and push it away that's not important to you. You know.
Yeah.
And so that was the cool part. Like, I think, you know, just knowing that you're building a team too, is you need to have a team building day. And the thing about the team building day is it's not about the business, it's about really getting to know your team just on an individual basis, and seeing who they are and what they're about, seeing what they love, seeing what's important to them. So then this way you can have more of a heart-to-heart kind of relationship with them. And so, you know, when you have that intimacy together as a team, I think they're willing to do so much more for you. than they would normally for themselves, right? Because they don't want to let you down. They want you to be happy. It's kind of like that little puppy that's always kind of sitting. He sits and he's wagging his tail, and gives you paw, and and he always wants to make you happy. And I think that in order for you to get, again, just using this analogy, the dog to do what you want it to do, you have to, good boy, here's a treat, good boy. You gotta love them so much and pour into them, and then you're gonna get the response and the results that you want, rather than saying, if you don't do this, you're gonna get fired, or if you don't do this, I'm gonna write you up. Like, I get it. You have to do that in order to create boundaries. But people don't respond to that kind of stuff. People respond to more of like, adoration. People respond more to like reward rather than punishment. So for me, it's like, you're exactly right. You gotta live it, one, and number two, and show it by example. And number two, I think you gotta create. And I was telling Andrew this. I said, Andrew, we need to do more team building. Like when you go up on a hike, maybe we go to Stone Mountain, maybe we go to Pencil Mountain, maybe we go to Sawney Mountain, whatever. You need to do more team building days so that you really get to see, or they get to see, not us, but they get to see how valuable they are to you, and how you want to spend time with them. Because as an employer, right, and then as an employee, you never think that the employer really cares about you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't get it. But when they know that you care about them, man, it's like, that's when your business is gonna go, through the roof, man, for sure. So that's same with your patients, same with your clients. I was telling somebody a story. I bought a car, and the salesperson was awesome. She was awesome, right? And it's so sweet, man. Like, and then I said to her before I left and pulling off after I signed the contract and she gave me the keys, I said, listen, I really like you, and I hope that our relationship doesn't end here. Oh no, don't worry, I'm gonna follow up with you, call you all the time. I haven't heard from her in 2 years. I ran into her Publix, and she looked at me, I looked at her, and she said, I know you from somewhere. I said, you sold me my car. I said, you don't even remember me, and you sold me my car. I said, I told you that was going to happen. I told you. Right? Yeah. I knew that feeling was going to happen. So even with your patients or clients that maybe they don't end up buying from you, or maybe they don't end up signing up for care, you just want to follow up with them to show them, because maybe someday they'll need you, right? And then you were the one that reached back out there. I mean, she just sent me a birthday text message. Even if it was automated, it wasn't her. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have that in our system.
The intention,
Right. So that's how I think you build a team, and you build the life that you deserve. And then I think things are going to be good for you, and everything's going to rise up exponentially. And then getting back to school, right? School, I tell people this is, when you're in school, you got to become a professional test taker. You got to figure out the game of studying and taking tests. That's it. That's all you do. Your goal is pass the board so you can get licensed. And then the real shit happens, right? But school is kind of like, I called it the land of make-believe, or follow the yellow brick road. It didn't exist. Just like when Dorothy woke up and it was all a dream for her. You know what I'm saying? That's what school is. But there are things in school, just like in any kind of institution, is there are things that you have to follow, right? You have structure, you have routine, and so it still can apply to every day, with whether you're doing it through taking care of yourself, whether through your business. So these things that you're learning in school, maybe they not pertain exactly to business, but they're still giving you structure and a guideline and kind of this paradigm to follow. You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think a lot of people hate on the school system, and for a good reason. Like, it's not, delivering, I think, in a lot of ways that it's supposed to. But something that I do think it does well is that interdisciplinary act of life that everything is. It's like, maybe you didn't learn that exact curriculum, but it gave you XYZ skills that apply to all these different areas. So, school or further education can be a similar function.
And plus, you have different people that you have to get along with and assimilate with, and you don't necessarily want to be around those people, right? The teachers, the students. Right? How many people do you walk around in school going, oh my God, I hate being so critical and judgmental, but it's, I guess by default we do that. I guess it's for survival reasons, but I mean, I see it all the time, and I'm like, I go to the gym and I see these people in the gym, and I'm just like, I don't know how I'm part of the human species. Or,
I was gonna say that
I should
earlier.
have been like a lion.
No, I'm
I should have been like an ass. I don't know.
Yes.
That's so
I
funny.
don't know.
I was gonna say that because you were like saying like I don't really like to get to know people because you start to see their humanity, and I was like, yeah, I mean it's probably true.
Well, I mean, I think humanity is a good thing, I think to some degree, right? But I think that you get to see people for who they really are, and and it just, I don't know. I want to, even in this perfect world, I want to think everybody's perfect, right? You do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, that's your nature. You're really a loving dude. So.
Yeah, I know. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm Van Gogh. I like my ears. I'm like,
Yeah,
I gotta cut it off because
Yeah,
I'm sad,
yeah.
It's okay.
Totally.
It's all good.
Well, what about you, Bella? You've been going through a whole transition too. I mean, the
Yeah.
last 6 months has just been like,
Yeah, you've changed a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's awesome to see you grow and blossom and mature. I mean, by default, it's it's kind of, and then you've softened him up, right? I mean, I see it, but this dude's intense. He's not allowed to swallow. And it's like getting hit in the face. Or if you're drinking from like a fire hydrant, and they're
Yeah, literally.
and what I get myself into, right? So
Yeah. I mean, I've told people it's like there was just like this time where I felt like I aged 30 years in 6 months of just like growth and like confronting all these beliefs and all these things about myself. But it's been incredible, and I'm so thankful for all of this experience. From what you said, I'm curious what you noticed changes as adult and friend since we've been together.
I think that he's more balanced. I think I think he's more focused. I think he knows what he wants more so now than before. I think he has somebody who's complementary to him, and I think that you guys are both kind of walking a path and in line with each other. So that makes I see him less stressed.
Yeah.
So it's really good to see that. And he's not as intense, man. You know what I'm saying? Like he's more calm. So there's like the yin and yang between you guys. You're more like the light side, he's more like the dark side. They're part of the, what do you call it? I don't know what it's called. The circle. But I mean, is it the moon? Is that what
the
it's called?
yin.
The yin yang circle, right? The yin yang circle, right? So.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. I mean, I'm intense too, and Angie's she's more playful, more spirited. And I think that if I had, she always said, she always just tell me, you need to go, like, find yourself while I'm a yoga instructor. And I'm like, somebody who only eats like you do, and I'm like, that wouldn't last.
Yeah.
That wouldn't last. I need somebody like you that's more, like...
It pushes you out of your comfort zone a bit.
Yeah, and also, like, lets you, like, is more forgiving in things that she does. And me, I'm so hard on myself, in every aspect. With my business, with my spiritual side, with my exercise, with my, with all that stuff. And, with just certain things that just are important to me, So she's more laid back. So I think for guys like us that are more intense, type A, alpha males, you need more of like balance and softness and somebody loving, So, and I think that brings balance to both of you guys. Like you need him and he needs you. So it's a beautiful marriage, so to speak. So that's what I see in both you guys. So it's kind of cool. And then, that's why you'll be successful with these podcasts. And that's why you bring in high level people to these podcasts, trying to get it out there and kind of let people know that, I mean, listen, it's not easy. This is like when you see me, it's years of struggles. It's years of internal strife and turmoil. It's years of looking at yourself and reflecting, saying, hey, this is not the person I want to be. This is the person that I do want to be, and these are the people that I want to surround myself with. And then you pick and choose those people so that you can strive for that, right? And so, it's easy to succumb. It's easy to sit on your ass. It's easy to not be successful. It's easy to just be mediocre. It's really easy, right? And so, but for me, to do all that is hard.
Yeah.
So I'd rather push the hard into being exceptional and pushing myself and being the best version of myself, more so than letting myself down. You know what I'm saying? So.
A funny thing that we were talking about the other day was, I know you're like me in the fact that like when you tell somebody something, like after you leave, you're like thinking about the fucking conversation like 18 times around. Did I say it right? And then you start to like create 18 different stories. You're like, wait, what did I say? How did I say? You come back, you're like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
You know, something like that.
Or somebody said that I said something and I'm like playing it. Did
Yeah,
I say that?
And you're like, no,
I didn't say
way.
that.
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
And then now I was just like, I don't think like that. And I was like, it was just both of us were shocked at how the other's brain worked. And it's just like, this Angie's like that too.
Oh,
where, you know, it's this balance where like you guys have this feminine essence of just like letting things go. And it's cool to be around that energy because I don't. As easily, you know, I'm thinking in my head or like rehearsing a conversation that's about to come up from like screaming and yelling all the way to being super loving and finding something in the middle, but I gotta like, I don't know, neurotic. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, somebody understands.
I know.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you having me on here. I hope, you know, other than the chatter for everything else that went through there, that people would kind of get, you know, something out of it. And,
Yeah.
And if you guys have any questions, you could always reach me at my office, which is Chiropractic Specialties. The phone number is 678-513-0095. Be happy to answer any questions that anybody has. And feel free to reach out.
Yeah. Hey, it's true. I sent everybody in my family from all over the world to Dr. Fogel. He's the man. If you want to be healthy, you just got to ask.
Awesome.
Love you.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
Yes.
Thank you, girl.
Yes.
It was awesome.
So good.
Good job. Good job.